on a semi-regular basis. I know you're busy, but you know, that's cool.
All right. Take care. It was a great
Okay.
time.
All right.
Yeah.
Stay
Always.
safe.
Wash your hands.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, wait. 8:56. Hey, let's bring our Nestor Licanto onto the show here. The guy's just the Walter Cronkite of Guam.
Got his eye on business.
Oh, wow, I get to follow Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that is one of the...
Your golf buddies, right?
Yeah.
that's one of the beats that you cover. I know you cover a lot of stuff with solid waste.
Yeah, we've been following the Luzon landfill saga in court and the receivership, so yeah.
It was good to get I guess a catch up with him on what's transpired since COVID.
Yeah, they got that one piece left. Is what to do about the ORDOT dump and how I guess that's 30-year commitment. So
Crazy.
yeah.
Gosh, I remember covering the ORDOT dump years and years ago.
I remember driving by it.
Yeah. Now
driving
though,
in it, I remember dumping stuff in it. Wow.
When you drive by though, now you can't smell anything.
Yeah,
Right.
very nice. It used to be a valley.
Mhm.
That's why they picked that site, because
Right.
it was a valley. It's a mountain now.
Yeah, well, you guys just took me back. I remember when I was dumping there, it was like already near the entrance. So before you'd go way in, and then by the end of the days, it was like right. Okay, we're done here.
And you get engulfed by flies.
Yeah.
Oh man, that
remember
was
the
worst.
fires?
Right. Yeah. So this is I think we're showing our age.
Yeah.
Everybody got a bunch of young kids out there like, what is ORDOT dump? What are they talking about?
Where is that?
And so obviously we brought you in. I love your in full Zoom. I don't know. Have you dropped one this week? Is that?
Yeah, one's on right now, I think, on YouTube, and then
Debuting
at
right
10
now.
o'clock. Yeah, and then it'll be on Facebook. It'll be on Facebook, and it'll be on TV8 at 6:30. But our guest today, what we wanted to do was take a look at tourism, but from a slightly different but equally important perspective. I think when most people think of tourism, they think about the airlines, they think about the hotels and the restaurants. But there is an equally important part of the tourism industry, because tourists can't come here and just eat and sleep.
Right.
So we took a look at some of the optional tours. Our guests for this segment are Dave Tidinko of Valley of the Lati, Terry DeBold representing Calva Enterprises, but the Two Lovers Point, that iconic tourist attraction.
Yeah.
And Brad Kloppenberg of Kloppenberg Enterprises. They have a DBA as Turtle Tours. And his grandfather, Earl Kloppenberg, was actually one of the founders of, I keep moving my...
Yeah.
Chris keeps pointing to my mic. Speak into the mic.
Let him speak.
I'm new to this news business thing, you know.
Right.
Brad's grandfather Earl started Turtle Tours, and he was one of the founders of the tourism industry on Guam. So, and then Brad's father Bruce took over the company, and then Brad's being groomed to eventually do that. So, anyways, we talked about the opportunities now. We talked about first, how the COVID has impacted their businesses. Obviously, like every other tourism-related business, it's hit pretty hard. When you get no tourists, you get no customers, you're going to suffer for that. But we talked about the opportunities now going forward. And they agree that it's going to be a slow, hard climb to recover where we were, because, as you know, prior to the COVID, I mean, we were hitting record numbers.
Wow.
Almost every other month, GVB would report, record numbers over and this has been happening for the past several years. We talked about, this as an opportunity to maybe reinvent tourism for Guam. They agree with the rest of with GVB and the other, and GHRA and the other tourism industry officials that initially Guam's going to have to be marketed as a place that's safe.
Right.
That's going to be the most important thing. Tourists will be looking at that first and foremost. But then, is there an opportunity to, reinvent Guam's image, and who should we target? What is our market? So they talked a little bit about that, and just some other aspects of how Guam can rebound. And they're all very confident that Guam will eventually rebound. It's just going to take a little time.
Did they give what are their thoughts on how long they think it's going to take?
It's hard to say. I mean, we've heard anywhere from 2 to 3 years to 4 to 5 years, But one of the things they do say that they need to do immediately is start training staff on all of these different new procedures that they'll have to follow in dealing and servicing tourists.
What about
all of the social distancing stuff? Yeah.
What about in promoting maybe more towards locals? Is that something?
Right. We've seen that in the different downturns that have happened with the Asian economic and then the swine flu, where we see the tourist numbers drop and then the hotels, the restaurants start marketing more to the locals. But this is kind of a different situation because we're all locked down, right?
Yeah, I think, like golf courses, for example, when it's off peak, that's when, they try to go after more local golfers, right? Because, there's a lot more tee times available. Same with hotels. They'll have local residential rates and so forth. So as far as them targeting more local tourists, that's possible. I mean, like Dave Tedinko over at Valley of the Lati. I mean, he has this, I forget what he calls it, but it's like he invites military and local residents to come see what he's done, and he's done fantastic things.
Great, I love that tour, man.
Yeah,
it's a great. I mean, if you guys you're staying home, I know they got a great local rate. I've been on it like 10 times. I always take the kids. It's really, I feel like could be a snapshot of one of the ways that and it's successful. We attract the tourists because it kind of really rides on that ecotourism thing where it's sustainable. They got a pineapple farm out there. They kind of grow what they feed you when you go on the tour. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, so kind of I think it was a riverboat festival or something like that.
Right.
That's what he calls it every year.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's another attempt, to try to draw, because they also want the support. It's very important that we get the support of the local community, and tourism officials have been saying that for years, right? That in order to have a successful tourism industry, we need to have the support of the local people. So yeah.
Well, excited about the show again. That drops tonight at 6:30 on KUAM TV8.
Yeah, I want to talk session, of course. What a week! What a week!
Yeah, it's been a long. This health insurance bill. what I thought would be a pretty simple, straightforward, just discussion on just kind of dragged out to. I think about 5 days now, and it's gone through different iterations. I think the most current version is 366, which
it started off as 255.
255, 255. Then I think there was a 363 or 364, and now it's 366. But essentially, the author, Senator Pito Turlahi, co-sponsored by Speaker Barnes, was to provide choice, and that's how they were, promoting the bill. There are a lot of questions. Obviously, that's why it took so many days. But it's now on the voting file, and the session starts at 10 o'clock this morning. So that's one of the bills that is in the voting file.
When are they going to vote?
That's a good question. They could vote this morning and then go back into regular session for other bills. They could wait till the end. It's going to be up to them.
Right.
And a lot of times it depends on the sponsors of different bills that may be close in vote in the counting of noses, like we like to say.
Right.
So they may want to push it back so they have more time to lobby. I don't know.
There's a lot of aren't there a lot of nominations or something to vote on too?
Confirmations, yeah.
Confirmations.
I think they might want to clear that first.
Is Dana on that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Ness, I mean, like you said, very hearty debate. I don't even know if that's the right term for it, but do you think that the senators have reached a version of the choice bill that they can vote on? I mean, obviously, I know they're going to vote on it. I guess first question, does it have the votes? And do you think those people who are critical of it at the beginning of all this have now maybe come around to a measure that they feel they can support?
I don't know what the vote's going to be. All I know is that they've had all the time. They've taken all the time possible to ask all the questions that they wanted to get answers for. So they should be armed with all the information that they need to make their individual decisions. What that result's going to be, I have no idea at this point.
So classy, Nestor.
I did want to ask that there's another bill, seemed to be controversial, Bill 323.
Bill 323.
Right,
okay.
this is is it the BBT?
Oh, the
Dave
BPT,
Santos?
yeah. So the Dave Santos Act. Dave Santos, for you youngins out there, he's a former director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation who passed untimely. I think back in the 80s it was. Really good guy. So they named the Dave Santos Small Business Enhancement Act after Dave, and basically what it does is it creates a ceiling below which you don't have to pay GRT.
Right.
And I think last year they amended that law. Senator Lee amended that law to increase that ceiling to 100,000.
It was 50,000 before, right?
50, yeah, she doubled it, and then so this particular bill would increase that to 250,000. Senator Moylan had tried to raise it even further to 500,000, with the idea being that more businesses could participate in that. And it's not that big of an amount if you just look at it, but to a business it is, right? You don't have to pay on your first. In his case, it would have been 500,000 in revenue. The bill as it stands now, it's the first 250,000 in revenue. You would not have. You would be exempt from paying GRT on those revenues.
Right.
So yeah, they're going to vote on that today.
Okay. But he did have an amendment, and then it passed, and then it was reconsidered, and then it failed. He wanted to raise it to 500,000, and that well. I read a release from him yesterday, and I wasn't watching.
We got him on the line, too. So
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll explain it to you then.
Right,
yeah. So, yeah, he had that. He thought he had it, and then they came back and they said, no, you didn't. It didn't pass. So, and then surprisingly also, Senator Therese Terlahi had cautioned that, hey, we really need to take a look at these numbers because we're looking at a real fiscal crisis coming up in the next fiscal year, and so we don't want it to go into this not knowing how much revenue we're going to get. But then she also, towards the end of the session yesterday, proposed an amendment to to roll back the BPT, the business privilege tax, from the 5% to the old 4%, and that was voted down, did not pass. So
do you know the vote on that?
I do not. I just know. I don't know if it was a roll call vote or a voice vote. But
I had to double check my email because I got the release that Senator Talai was trying to roll back the BBT.
And as we know, the governor has said repeatedly publicly that she does not support a rollback of the BBT because it would take such a big chunk out of government revenues. And, that's what I think a lot of people are fearful about. Fiscal year 2021 will be a very, very difficult year. I mean, there's no getting around it. I mean, once we are fortunate that we have had all of the, and will be getting all of the federal funding that we are getting, which will supposedly dry up at the end of this year in December. So what happens after that? Where will we get that money? The tourism industry, by all accounts, is not going to be back to where it was for a long time. And we have, for the last 40 years, had two legs to stand on, basically. It's the federal funding and tourism. And so if you lose one leg, and then the second leg kind of so it's a little, it's scary, actually.
I feel like are we in denial, Ness? I mean, we're trying to pass a budget. They don't know, kind of flying in the dark.
Yeah, we've been trying to get a handle on that. I think you're right. I mean, I think that they probably have a good idea, but don't have a firm number, and don't really want to deal with it right now.
Who wants to talk about our economy?
They've got a deadline, though, coming up right by law where they have to pass the budget.
Yeah, typically you have your revenue projections. The administration and the legislature will agree on, this is the amount we have to spend. It's a number that they have this formula that they work on and input from the economists on what business activity is going to be. And they say, okay, this is the number, right? And then from that number, you do your budget hearings, and the agencies will come before the legislature and say, we need this, we need this, we need this, and the legislature says, no, you don't really need that, and then this is what you're going to get. So this is what they end up with. They're not doing it this time.
Of all the times to not do that. Wow.
They're basing it. The administration is said, okay, we gave you a number, a budget, but it's pre-pandemic, based on pre-pandemic, and I guess you guys figure it out, because we're not.
You guys figure it out while you're running for re-election.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
So that's where we are, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, is it an exercise in futility? I don't know. You be the judge of that, because they're.
I mean, I know the last time we talked with Senator Joe St. Augustine, he said that he was having a meeting with the governor on the budget and whatever the revenue projection was going to be, but we hadn't heard from him since. And then I think some of the budget
was there a hearing canceled? Or something? Yeah, I saw that.
Well, there's a bunch of budget hearings canceled, but I think it's because the legislature has. It was supposed to be, as far as I knew, a short, brief legislature. There was only a few bills on the agenda, and then it has, because of, I guess, the debate over the health insurance bill, kind of stretched out into I guess this is the 6th day now of legislative session. Jim will probably have a lot more information about that, and he'll be able to give you, I'm sure, his thoughts on the upcoming budget revenue projections, and so.
Oh, and that's always great to have you on. So much insight, man. I mean, this guy, you talk about veteran reporter times 2. And I love the way you break it down. Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Again, you can catch his in full Zoom. I think it's premiering on YouTube right now.